Hey everybody, it's Sam here from Sugar², and today I'm showing you how to make giant chocolate chip cookies. Today's giant chocolate chip cookies measure about 5 to 6 inches in diameter. These are huge and thick and chewy with slightly crisp edges, and I think you're going to absolutely love them. Now, to get started, you're going to need a large bowl, and you're going to want to melt 1 cup or 2 sticks of unsalted butter. Once your butter has cooled, we'll add our brown sugar. Now you'll need 1 cup of firmly packed brown sugar for this recipe. You can use light brown sugar or you can use dark brown sugar. I actually love using a blend of both of them, so this is about half a cup each of dark brown and light brown sugar. That's just a personal preference. Either one will be fine in this recipe. We'll also add 3/4 cup of granulated sugar. And just use a spatula to stir the butter and the sugar together until they're completely combined. One of the great things about this recipe is because it uses melted butter, you do not need a stand mixer to make this. Now we'll add our eggs. My recipe uses 1 large egg plus 1 large egg yolk. We're adding that extra yolk and we're omitting that other white because we want our cookies to be nice and soft and chewy and tender, and adding an extra yolk does just this for our recipe. Another important thing to note is that you want your eggs to be at room temperature. This is important because we've melted our butter. Our ingredients in our bowl are at least at room temperature, if not slightly warmer. If we add cold eggs, we're going to shock our batter and our ingredients are not going to be as nicely incorporated as you want them to be. We'll stir in 1½ teaspoons of vanilla extract. This is looking pretty good, so we're going to set our wet ingredients aside, and you're going to need a separate bowl for your dry ingredients. We're going to start with 2 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour. We'll also add a tablespoon of cornstarch, a ½ teaspoon of baking powder, a ½ teaspoon of baking soda, and 3/4 teaspoon of salt. Stir your dry ingredients together until everything's completely combined. So our dry ingredients are nicely combined, so let's bring back our wet ingredients. And we'll gradually add the dry ingredients into our wet ingredients and stir everything together until our batter is completely combined. The last thing we need to add to our cookie dough is our chocolate chips. Now, you'll need about 1½ cups of chocolate chips. You can just use regular semi-sweet chocolate chips or even milk chocolate chips, that'll be fine. I actually like to use a blend of semi-sweet chocolate chips of different sizes. So I'm adding 1½ cup of regular semi-sweet chocolate chips, 1½ cup of mini semi-sweet chocolate chips, and 1½ cup of jumbo semi-sweet chocolate chips. And we'll stir these into our dough. Our giant chocolate chip cookie dough is now going to need to chill in the refrigerator for at least an hour. It can chill longer than that if you want to make this the day before or even several days in advance. That will be totally fine. I'm just going to cover the bowl with some plastic wrap. And this is off to chill in the fridge for 1 hour. Now, about 15 to 20 minutes before you're ready to bake your cookie dough, you'll want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, my oven has been preheating for a while and my cookie dough is now chilled and ready to bake, so we can go ahead and start scooping this. Each of these giant chocolate chip cookies is going to need about 1/2 cup of batter. I'm actually going to be using an ice cream scoop instead of a traditional cookie scoop to scoop this batter, but even this isn't quite enough. I'm going to need to make heaping spoonfuls, that way I have a 1/2 cup of batter per cookie. Now, if you let your cookie dough chill for longer than an hour, you might notice that it's a little bit hard to scoop. It'll probably be pretty firm, so if you let it chill for a really long time, you can let it sit at room temperature for about 15 minutes or so, just to soften it enough so that you can scoop it. So this is about how much dough we want per cookie. Now, one thing I really recommend doing is just gently rolling the dough between your palms to form it into a ball. Now, if you just plop the cookie dough right onto the sheet, you're gonna have some frayed edges that are going to cook really crisp, really fast in the oven. Just to ensure that everything cooks pretty evenly, you want to have a nice round ball. Now, this recipe makes some really big cookies, so I only usually bake about 2 cookies on a baking sheet at a time. And you want to give these some room because they are going to spread while they're baking. All right, we can take these over to our 350 degree Fahrenheit preheated oven, where they will need to bake for about 14 to 16 minutes. The edges will be a nice light golden brown when they're finished. These cookies are going to be really fragile while they're still warm, so you're going to want to let them cool completely on the baking sheet before you remove and enjoy them. And that is how you make these giant, incredible chocolate chip cookies. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's recipe video. If you try this one out, please let me know what you think. I always love hearing from you. Well, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. That's good. Hey, if you guys enjoyed today's giant chocolate chip cookie video, I would really appreciate it if you would give me a thumbs up. Please be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Also, if you enjoyed today's recipe video, here are a few others you might like as well.